Hello and welcome again to AI in Communications webinar. Thank you for being here. Before we start, I would like to recognize that ERASA is located in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I am grateful for the peace and friendship treaties. And we are today very, very fortunate to have Meena Das with us. Meena is the CEO, consultant, and facilitator of two practices, NamasteData and Data is for Everyone. Meena is a specialist in designing and teaching equitable research tools and analyzing engagement. She supports nonprofit in three critical areas: that data collection assessments, community surveys, and staff workshop on topics like improving data equity and human-centric AI. So enjoy the webinar, and Meena, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Yasmin. Hello, everyone. I am Meena Das. My pronouns are she, her. I'm joining from my home office. I also do a lot of arts work as well as data science, and I'm a certified life coach. So I try to blend a lot of different things when I'm talking about data. And I am going to share my screen when I speak about this topic. Okay, let's see. All right, you can nod your heads, give your beautiful smiles when you see the screen. Can you? Okay, fantastic. All right, I am really excited to chat with you all about writing effective, ethical, useful AI prompts. I believe the 16 of us will have fun talking about this topic, which is bombarding our emails and almost every screen that we spend for work, for work or for entertainment. This topic is coming up more and more often. So I am excited to talk to you about artificial intelligence. But before we do that, let's start with my land acknowledgement, which I always include. I respectfully acknowledge that I am fortunate to live, learn, and provide my services on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including the territories of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. In other words, I am joining you from beautiful Vancouver, BC. I always include this. If you haven't been to this place, please consider this as an invitation that I can take you out for good coffee and good food. And I love the food in my local area here. A quick introduction about my work. I am the founder of a data and AI equity practice called NamasteData. Yasmin was very kind to give a long introduction for me, which I gave, which I think now should be reduced. It's a lot of words about my intro. And what I do usually is I teach and talk and write basically any verb that we can think when it comes to how can we build better relationship with data and artificial intelligence. All of us use data in more than one ways every single day. But if I ask you, how many of you are data person, I bet, I don't know, maybe like 7 of us may say, 7 to 8 of us may say, I am not a data person, Meena. I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not a numbers person. And that's the thing. We do have a relationship with data, which feeds into, by extension, the relationship we have with artificial intelligence. So I have worked with data and AI for 17 years. I am privileged to have 3 master's degrees. I'm very nerdy when it comes to these topics. I spent about 7 days thinking about these things. A part of my research is about AI equity. And my interest in this conversation of AI is that before we speak about the details of, yes, prompting is important and how to use Gen AI, I also want a space for dreaming and talking, what is the purpose of artificial intelligence? What are the ethics of this? How do we make it responsible? So when you see the title, Writing Effective, Ethical, Useful AI Prompts, I believe I am very interested in talking to you about the ethics part of it. And I believe in collective learning. So the space that we are building right now for the next 1 hour, I am hoping to bring a vibe of you meeting me in a coffee shop talking about this, where you are welcome to bring your wisdom and experience into this conversation as I am, which means the part of effective and useful that's going to come from you when you share your knowledge in the chat window, or feel free to unmute yourself on any slide and say, hey, Meena, I have seen this happening in this way. You are welcome to do that. We are in a safe space, and I am interested in building a very collaborative learning environment for the next 60 minutes. So I have very easy agenda items today. We are only going, our focus is prompting today. And I am going to talk about that. But I want to set some context around AI, because this is part of my life for almost 7 days. I wish I could say 5 days, and 2 days are, no AI talk, but it doesn't happen. It is part of my 7 days thing. So I want to set some context. From my perspective, who spends so much time, what is happening with AI and the world? AI right now, the way I see it, and I work with most philanthropic organizations, I work with tech companies. AI is something that most of us, and I'm saying everybody with a star, most of us are using. Few are caring to talk about it. When I say talk about it, talk beyond a webinar, talk beyond a conference session, or talk beyond a blog or a social media post. And fewer fully understand what is AI, and what are the ethics and basics and fundamentals behind it. So when we say we want to do good with AI, well, AI is really taking your data and doing something with it. Do we understand what goes into it? No. And so there is that yellow to that blue bubble there, it's becoming shorter. My intention, my hope, my goal with my work is that we grow that blue box more, so that we understand what we are dealing with. Because the next 30 years with AI, 3 things are going to happen. It is here to stay, whether we like it or not, whether it is part of our interest or expertise currently or not. It is here to stay. This technology isn't going anywhere. It will grow in capacity. That means right now, if we have 3 Gen AI tools that say that this is how AI can look like for you people, well, we are going to have way more companies selling their products, AI products, in the next whatever number of years. And a lot of companies will shut down too, because we are right now at a time when companies are looking for funding for a lot of different use cases with AI. So that's that second trend that is going to happen in the next 30 years. And the growth rate of AI, it is really, really fast. It's incredibly fast, which means what happened 12 months ago in the sector of AI, parts of it is true, and we have, new details surrounding the same LLM model or the same technology in 12 months. Now, I want to clarify, although this third bit a little bit, because somewhere we all are coming from nonprofit sector or philanthropy in some way, shape or form. The growth rate of AI, when I say that, it is not going to be the same for every organization and for every sector. Tech sector, when that grows, it's at a different speed, versus when philanthropy is moving forward with where to bring AI and how to bring AI, which is why I do a research. This is one of my, I'm grateful to do this research. It's a 3-year project. It's called the AI Equity Project. Builds narratives for the entire sector, whether or not AI is going to widen a gap or it's going to shorten it, depending on where we are. Yes, the tech sector may have changed how AI is showing up in people's feeds in the last 12 months. But I mean, for the nonprofits, there are a lot of nonprofits who are still struggling with keeping their database up to date. They're still tracking their data in CRMs, which means there is a gap. The 2025 report, I want to give a quick insight and then we'll move on from this slide, is that 75, so this report, it covers narratives from nonprofits across states in Canada. This year we had about 850 plus about 900 nonprofits who participated in this project to share their data on how they use, what they use, their adoption, barriers, funding requirements, where they go for funding, et cetera, et cetera. And 75% nonprofits said that they use AI in an ad hoc basis. So comms team, fundraising team, program teams, they use AI on an ad hoc basis, which means some of us use AI on our, side of the table using ChatGPT for creating a social media post, but we are not talking to our team members as a collective. We are not using it as a collective. 75% said they do that. And 9% of the nonprofits said that they have any form of AI governance policy, which means there is a huge gap of possible risks and harms that can happen, which is why I said what I said is that I am most interested to talk to you about how to write ethical prompts. And I believe in your wisdom and experience to make it useful for your context. Okay, so my goal in the next 45 minutes is to give you a framework for meaningful engagement with any GenAI tool. Now, I'm going to use the word ChatGPT a lot more because that's what I use the most. You are also welcome to use Gemini or Claude or any other GenAI tool that you have access to. We will try to build some time for hands-on activities. And let's get started. Well, before I jump into my two topics, I want to talk about what is AI, and I want to give you a framework of using GenAI tool. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you if you have any questions or any experience with prompting. I'm sure some of us may have tried this before. If not, that's okay, totally okay too. Like I said, this is a safe space. We are helping each other, supporting each other, guiding each other. But share your experience. You're welcome to unmute yourself, raise your hands, or use the chat window. But I'm interested to know, have you used prompting or tried prompting before? Prompting means using a GenAI tool to giving it specific instructions to do something. And if you have any questions. Thank you, Dina. I appreciate that. Any questions for those who have tried or not tried? They don't have to try prompting to ask a question. And you always have a minute to form your thoughts. So if I ask a question doesn't mean you have to jump in immediately. I don't know, 30 more seconds, just in case if someone wants to ask anything. Okay. Thank you, Dina. You have used prompting, but also know that, okay. Perfect. All right, different tonal approaches. Okay. All right. I see no questions, which is also okay. So let's continue. And if you have any questions, you are welcome to type it in the chat window. Let's see. Heidi, you say, my friend, I hesitate using ChatGPT for prompting because I wonder what it does with my data. Interesting, very useful, very common question. Let me offer some insight to that. So every LLM model, which is behind large language models, which are behind these Gen AI tools like ChatGPT, they need a lot of data to learn so that they can create new statement structures based on what we are asking. So when we share our data, these companies like OpenAI, which is the creator of ChatGPT, these companies, they want to use our data so that they can train their LLMs, their large language models, to create better statements for their questions, which means now they're slightly changing their approach in the last 3 years that whether or not we consent to give our data for training or not, ChatGPT uses by default most data points for its training, but it also now offers a feature called you can toggle off not have any data saved. which means you have your, you uploaded a PDF of your campaign. You don't want ChatGPT to remember that. Well, you can now say that. Perplexity, on the other hand, is one of those tools which for up until now, they never used the data. They said it on their website for training their LLMs, but now they have put a toggle on and off whether you want to train their models with your data or not. So that's what happens with ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT. I'm curious to understand what happens. AI is an incredibly powerful technology. The thing about AI is it is different from when 15 or 20 years ago when emails came. We had the same reaction. Every time a new technology comes, we do have the same reaction from as humans. Is it useful? Is it necessary? Is it an evil? Is it a fad? Is it going to stay here? Or will we not use it anymore in the next 3 years? And the stock market reacts in a certain way, conferences and tech companies react in a certain way, and all of that is true. The difference between AI and other technology is if a car, for example, does something wrong, an automated car does something wrong, it can self-teach itself, but it can also teach the other next gen of the programs behind that automated car. Here, this is the step that you shouldn't do because this is what gets into something wrong. So it can self-teach, and it can self-teach the future programs of the same genre. This was not possible with emails. Like if something got wrong with email, or we had a window that we couldn't work through a window, Outlook will only take a report, a crash report, but it can't update all Outlook windows that your peers are working with. That's the difference. It's a powerful technology. It can self-learn, it can self-teach, and it can grow pretty fast. So I will say, if you're hesitant to use ChatGPT, start with some very basic examples if you're curious to use it, and you're welcome to shut down or toggle off of saving your reports. Melanie, you say I use prompting mainly with ChatGPT. I think one of the struggle I have is how to deal with biases that AI might have. Excellent point, Melanie. I love that. I'm going to share a resource somewhere through this session of what is possible and what shouldn't be part of the AI cheat, like almost like a list. Let's see if we can make use of that in our work. I'm gonna read quickly two more of the chat windows. I also use ChatGPT, didn't know the feature. Absolutely, you betcha. What is the difference between ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot AI, and DeepSeek? Interesting question here. Okay, so ChatGPT, they're all Gen AI tools. They're all, when I say Gen AI tools, actually let's get to the slide where we are going to talk about what is AI, because this will come up and then I can answer this question there. Okay. AI today. So right now, AI, when I say AI today, we have a lot of these features available on different tools that we are using in our personal life, which is why I say some of us might not even be aware. I include a question in my every conference at the beginning. Do you believe you're using AI? And I remember this was like maybe January this year. So, not too long ago, there were about like 100 people, and 65 raised their hands saying, no, they don't use Gen AI or not Gen AI, any form of AI at all. Which is not true, because we are using AI features somewhere in our personal life. So before we even knew it, recommendations on Amazon Prime, that is something that uses the recommendations algorithm, which is a feature of machine learning, data science, or AI, whatever we might want to call it. Same goes for Netflix. Because you watched movie A, here are your 10 recommendations. Again, based on your engagement on the platform, that algorithm is learning about you and personalizing the things it can so that you engage more. That is a feature and functionality of machine learning algorithms, which is an underlying thing of artificial intelligence. Gmail, I remember, I think it's been about 10 years, it can autocomplete your sentences by understanding your writing structures and patterns. For example, I have a writing habit that when I write, I use hyphens and dashes to sometimes to combine two sentences. Now, when Gmail auto-completes my sentences, it does include that. So it learned that very nuanced thing that I do to auto-complete my sentences. Same goes for PayPal. So all these platforms, and I'm only pulling like very few of those, all these platforms, they have had some feature of automation or machine learning or data science underlying, and it is becoming more and more sophisticated to become closer to artificial intelligence. So when I say AI, this is how I look at it. Okay. Don't worry about those two arrows. They should not have come earlier, but never mind. AI is when you have some objective, let's say in the case of ChatGPT, or let me take a more traditional example. We want to find out the best people who in our database who should be invited to the next gala event of our campaign. So we have a gala event associated with our campaign. And as comms people, let's say we are all comms people here, we are interested to find out who will most likely open the invite, say yes, and so that we can have more yeses. All right. So you have an objective. And I am the supporting data scientist in this case. So let's figure out what is AI in this case, in this example. So we got an objective. We want to find the best people who will join you for the gala event. Now, you and I together will collect all the good amount of data in your database about your community. It could be the likely group of people. It could be the people you don't think likely, but they exist in your database. I will be the person saying, okay, let's pull everything and build that data set, right? We will include engagement. We will include history, bio, giving histories, knowledge, philanthropy, anything that we can find, we will include that. We will go out and see out in the world what is available, and we will also bring into this data set. Now we have a big, huge data set. We will run it through a model. This is where the model can be machine learning, natural language processing. There are only two examples. There are more. You may have heard other areas too, like well, I'm going to stick with this for now. Machine learning has about 180 algorithms. Natural language processing is the Gen AI. So Gen AI is one flavor. So that question, what is the difference between ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, DeepSeek? They're all generative AI tools. You may have heard the word regression. That is machine learning algorithm. So they are all Gen AI tools or natural language processing tools. What it means is they can all read your text and they can predict more sentences for you. And I'm going to take a detour to answer that question. The difference between ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot is the sources they have been trained on, one, what level of guardrails they can offer. So ChatGPT has I mean, they don't have a lot of guardrails. At least they didn't have in 2023 when they came out in November 2022. And 2023, they brought very little guardrails, and it has changed since then. It's updating. They are all the other difference. The third difference is what kind of opportunities they offer you to store the data and how they take consent for training their LLMs. And the last difference is DeepSeek is a non-North America-based model. So DeepSeek is from China, and it created a huge uproar in the last 8 months on whether or not to use it or not. So more or less, they're all natural language processing tools. They're all producing stuff for you. They all have the capabilities to take your PDF or a website or an Excel sheet or any kind of data set. They all can produce data what they want to produce. But the difference is what level of learning they have had. So that means all of them have acquired underlying data from open sources on the internet, but to what extent? ChatGPT may have learned from the internet all the way until maybe 2022. I am not aware of the extent to which each of these tools have learned, but they are not all the same. So when you ask the same prompt on different tools, you might get different responses too. Okay, back to this example. So we collected all the data for our example where we are finding the best people. We throw it into a model. It can be a machine learning or natural language model, right? In our case, we don't have to worry about that. Let's say we ran it through some model. Now it gave us some patterns and predictions that here are Melanie and Meena, here are your 30 names who are most likely to open your invitation, say yes, and join you on the event. Okay, so we got it. We will also likely get, depending on our algorithm, we'll also likely get who are these people, how can we reach out to them? It will create some actions. So Melanie will likely reach out to those people, follow up with them. That will create an impact. Maybe out of those 30, 28 say yes, and they create more data. This is a cycle. This entire bubble is artificial intelligence. It contributes to artificial intelligence. It's not just the model. So when we say AI can generate biases and it can cause ethical issues and because of the data, it is true that data is that first thing that is feeding into the system, but that's not the only place where ethical issues can arise. So when you think of AI after today, I want you to know that these ethical issues can arise from what data was fed into the model, who chose what model should be selected, how did we interpret the predictions of the model, who decided how to contextualize what comes of this AI model, and what kind of impact did it create? Everything can contribute to some degree the ethical concerns that we are aware of. But this is not the topic that we are getting into today, so I wanted to give you some introduction to this. All right, let's talk about the prompting, which is where we are most interested. How do we create these prompts? I'm going to give you a formula. This is not set in stone. If you have tried prompting before, you may have your own way and mechanism to do it, but this is how I would do it. You need to specify an objective stating what do you want out of your prompt, right? Again, I'm using the word ChatGPT a lot. You're welcome to try any other tool. Specificity, right? Offer more detailed information about what you want to do. Desired format. Do you want it in bullet points? Do you want it as a letter? Do you want it as paragraphs? You have to offer that desired format. Context and constraints include any relevant background information that needs to be included or not included. So do not use the word delve, for example, 15 times in the post. You have to include it because ChatGPT is, at least it used to be very interested in the word delve and tapestry, words that nobody used, honestly, on day-to-day language. And so I am turning the same pointers into questions that you can remember. So objective is basically who are you and what you need. So including why do you care about this response. Specificity is who is your audience? Is it your audience of the output? Is it a specific industry, a mission type, a role type, right? Desired format is how do you want this response to look like? See, the desired format. Actually, let me finish this thought and then I'm going to come back to this. Context and constraints, any special rule or constraints to remember. Now, every little point on this, so the objective, the specificity, desired form, and context, all of this needs a human in the loop element. It needs your guidance, your input, your wisdom to make all of this accessible. So it's not enough to just ask something, a Gen AI tool, and it gives you an output and you take it and do something with it and go to the next step. It is important that you infuse the idea of accessibility into the prompts from the beginning so that it's not an afterthought, it's your priority from the beginning. So for example, when I do and I'm writing my how do you want this response to look like, I do include my audience and I do ask, okay, what are some other ways that this particular report insights can be most accessible for this audience? It's going to look different when I'm talking to EDs and it's going to look different when I'm talking to my IT data friends. And so how can I make the same thing that I'm creating out of a prompt more accessible to different groups of audiences? So you can really add that human in the loop as you're thinking through each of these different options. Okay. I want to try, instead of giving you everything, what you should and should not do, I'm going to try to do some, exercises that we can do together. I'm going to show you a prompt My 4 questions or my formula is on the right-hand side. You can see that already with very color-coded 4 questions. I'm going to show you a prompt, and we are going to improve that together. Okay. So the prompt is proposal outlining the problem or need, and it can be any organization. Let's say org A. Org A addresses providing evidence-based solutions and presenting a clear and detailed plan for implementation and evaluation. Okay, this is the prompt. We see the formula on the right-hand side. What do you think is missing? What will improve this prompt? Same thing, take a minute to form your thoughts. You're welcome to unmute yourself or use the chat window. And I'm going to open the chat window so I can track if we have any responses. What will improve this prompt? Okay, Virginie says, what industry, what kind of proposal? Excellent. Dina says the type of organization, especially the audience. Let's see, do we have the type of organization? No, we don't. Excellent. Yes. Let's take one more response on this. What can improve this? How much length? Okay, great, perfect. All right, let's see. Let's combine the responses that we have. And if you haven't responded, feel free to keep adding in constraints in terms of formatting and tone. Yep, absolutely. You're all jotting down the right points. Yes, we need to define what's the organization, who's the organization. You can do that by adding the link. Anything that is publicly available information, you can include that as for your prompt. So if you have your official website, you can include that. Anything that is confidential, we are not including it in any Gen AI tool, regardless of the level of privacy they claim on their website. So anything that is confidential, no. Anything that is publicly available, that is okay. Now, grant proposal, we never included the tone or the formatting, but we can offer, here's a sample grant proposal that I have written for this funder in the past. So you have to include who is the funder, because different funders may have different requirements. If you have a specific set of details that a specific funder needs, you can include this particular funder, who is this. Again, if they have a publicly available info or a website, include that as well. This particular funder is more interested in environmental related causes, and these are the things they're interested in. Additionally, here is a PDF of my previous grant proposal on something similar. So now you have given it enough context to learn, right? And then you can include the provides evidence-based solutions. So you're defining that a little bit, right? In that. Last thing that I will include is probably include possible questions that this funder may have reading this proposal. So you are well prepared in advance on possibly all the things that this funder may need. So likeliness on rejections, and you're preparing even for the rejections of the outcomes. So that is another way that you can, craft this prompt. I'm glad we are all getting in all the points that you collected. Okay, next example. Develop a budget narrative for a grant proposal, explaining how the requested funds will be allocated and demonstrating the financial sustainability and accountability of the organization's project or program. Don't worry about the long statement structures. And let's see how we can improve this. We are developing a budget narrative for a grant, explaining how the funds will be allocated and demonstrating the sustainability and accountability of a certain program? How do we improve it? And I'm going to think too, although I have done these in the past, but every time there is something unique that comes out. How will you improve this particular prompt? I'll start with two things. It needs to have a definition of sustainability and accountability. They can all look different for different organizations. And Dina, you're right. Budget amount or scope, other specificities. Yes. It doesn't have any details around what kind of this budget narrative, what should it look like, right? So include that. And what does that financial sustainability mean? Again, and that accountability, because that could look also different, org to org, program to program, project to project, right? So we need more details here. Okay. Now, I do want to spend some time on actually trying a bit of this prompting. So I am going to try something different. Instead of going into the third example, which I'm happy to share with you after today's exercise or today's session, I need you to live practice with me. So before we get to that, let me quickly share a document with you here. It's a 2-pager so that you can download it while you are in the session. And you're welcome to understand what we shouldn't be doing with GenAI tools. Okay, so it is in the chat window now. This is a PDF of the list of things that you should be considering and should not be considering when you are working with your GenAI tools and writing your prompts. But what you need to be careful about in your prompts is that you are not promoting any active hate. It just sounds basic and fundamental, but truly, trust me, sometimes we do need those reminders that we are not asking anything that can lead to more confirmation biases. We are not creating or offering something that is confidential, anything that is only publicly available, that's the information that we can include. And then whatever you create is not causing more harm for any specific communities. I am probably diminishing my list of what to be careful about, but you have that list in front of you, and I am going to move forward in the interest of time to practice something together. All right. Let's see what we can do here together. So if you have access to ChatGPT, they all have free open source. They're all free and open, not open source, they're free and open. So which means you can have a account made on those websites. If you can have access to it, go to your Google page and just type in ChatGPT. Let's go with that. It's easy, it's fast because it can take your email address. You are welcome to shut down your account if you're not interested to do prompting after today. And if you have an account already, open your ChatGPT window. I am going to ask you to try a few prompts and then share your experience. Does that sound okay? Yeah? Okay. All right. So opening and get access to your ChatGPT, and then I can get right into the chat here, the chat window here that you have access to it. I'm going to give a minute for people to get access to that. Any GenAI tool, if you're using any GenAI tool, that's fine too. If you don't have any, you're welcome to use ChatGPT. If you have a ChatGPT, perfect. Thank you. Yeah. More confirmations that we have our Gen AI, some tool opened on our end. You're very welcome, Florence. If you have any questions, you're welcome to join back. Yeah. Okay, a couple more yeses, one or two, and then I'm going to show the prompts that I want you to try. Okay, all right. Oh, gotcha. Okay, so if you're not allowed to use any AI app at work, no worries. In that case, we'll try something different. But I see two yeses and a maybe. Okay, so here are some prompts. All right, usually I give a scenario and I ask people to design their own prompts. But I knew we have a short time with each other, so I already have some half-baked prompts. That means they are not complete. They can be improved at least 3 times, but I have some half-baked prompts and I want you to take them, run with it, and make it your own. So we don't have time. Maybe we don't have time for all of them. But you're welcome to use any of them. So in front of you on this slide are 5 half-baked prompts, somewhat related around the roles and responsibilities of a comms person. Some of it you may be already doing, some of it you might be coming up on your to-do list, or it never came up. Either way, totally fine. We are in this hypothetical scenario. What I want to do instead is you have to pick up one prompt, try any prompt on your Gen AI app, and use your current organization as the example. Instead of going hypothetical, let's make it very practical with what you have where you work. So your organization, whether you are a part of a nonprofit or part of an organization or have your own business today, you're welcome to use any of those. Only please remember that you can use publicly available information. That means if you have a website, open social media channels, those are only things that you can use. And pick any prompt, type it into your Gen AI tool, expand on it, and see what you feel like. And if you don't have access to any Gen AI tool, which is totally okay, just hang tight. When we have the discussion, hopefully you can take pieces of it after today and try it when you are not on your work computer or you are in your safe space. If you have your phone and if you have a Gen AI tool on your phone, you're welcome to use it. So if you don't have access, that's okay. Hang tight, we'll have a discussion around what you came up with. Okay, make your choice of any of those 5, type it into your Gen AI tool, plug in your information, your organization, anything that you have publicly available, produce something, and then type back into the chat window, I'm done, so that we can have a discussion. I'm going to give everyone like 10 minutes or 10, I wish. Well, let's give each other 7 minutes and see where we go from here. Any prompt, try it on your ChatGPT or any Gen AI tool, plug in your publicly available information, and then we are going to discuss. Yasmin, I see you're done. I see Shauna, you're done as well. Let's wait for one more done, and then we can have 1 or 2 more done, and then we can chat together. And if you're done, you're welcome to pick one more if you want to. Okay. See one more. Fantastic. We have 4 done, so we can get into a bit of a discussion mode. I will leave this slide on, but this is what I need to hear from you. I want to know, how did you approach it, right? So did you add anything? What did you add? If you removed anything, what did you remove? And let's stick to that point. What was the experience? Okay, let me go back to it. So if people are still doing, they can continue to do this. Okay, we have 4 people: Heidi, Virginie, Yasmin, and Shauna. All right. Would any of you lovely humans share with us what you came up with? What's your output? Dina, I also see you're done. Please feel welcome to share in the chat window or unmute yourselves. Which prompt did you use? And what did you get? Talking, then you're on mute, my friend. Okay, I'm gonna read Shauna's in the meantime. Shauna, you say write a social media post of 50 words, okay? Announcing scavenger hunt in Stephen, the audience is newcomers. We need them to register for the event. The tone is informal and fun. Fantastic. Shauna, did you add anything else to this prompt? Did you give any more context?
I did not. That was the first output.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I would change it, like we're not gonna give prizes.
Okay. All right. All right. This prompt will give you a great first draft. My suggestion and recommendation would be a few things. One, you have the right 50 words, but you can also include, I'm writing a social media post for LinkedIn or Instagram. So mention the name of the social media app, because different apps have different, things that works for the algorithm. So instead of the word count, or along with the word count, you can give the app that you're using, as well as the event that you mentioned that we need them to register for the event. That's fantastic. You are including your call to action. But if your event page is now public, you can include that. So, it can create something up for the event. That is great. Awesome. Love it. Let's read the other one. Virginie, you say, I use the program summary. I use our previous conversations as references plus a web page. Okay. Summarize the JSS program from what from our conversations plus this web page. Okay. Keep it professional but warm, and make sure it includes information on the eligibility criteria. Fantastic. So when you say previous conversations, I'm assuming your previous conversations in the chat window, right? Okay, perfect. All right, so it does know enough information about you, plus you're giving your web page. I will include the same thing what Shauna included, a call to action. What makes our prompt successful? So not just teaching your Gen AI the context about you, where you come from, you also have to teach how it should look at success. So your prompt, if it's a grant proposal, your prompt is your grant is accepted, right? So you'll have to make it accessible. Social media post, you want people to register for the event. In this case, you are summarizing something. What would the success be if the leadership engages with the summary report or something? So include that as well. Let's read Heidi's. Create 3 tagline options for iSense pre-arrival services that feel exciting and would work well on LinkedIn. I like that you have included that. Limit each to under 8 words. I gave extra prompts such as, okay, professional, simple English, family focused. Oh, I like it. Lovely. Fantastic. 3 tagline options. I like the maybe, and this is not part of the prompt, but this is something that I'm just thinking right now. ask for, next time when you're retrying it, ask for 3 different options for taglines. So, you know, one is hopeful, one that generates some response, like emotional response, or again, that call to action, something based on that. And third could be a frequently asked question-based tagline. So different taglines so that you have like more a variety of options. But I like that. And I like what the outputs that came. Who else wants to share something that they worked on? Yasmin, what was yours that you included in it?
Mine was exactly like what I have here. I kept it as it is. And one thing I noticed, it's because like I invented a project name. But one thing I noticed is that because I put a certain word length, it kept talking about the project and what will be in there, even though I did not mention anything at all. So I think that's yeah, that's something to always be mindful of.
Yeah.
It likes to expand and talks about the project, but the information might not be accurate. So yeah.
That's true. If you don't have like the right context, it will still produce something, but it will hallucinate in that case.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're very welcome, my friend. Okay, so we have last 5 minutes. I hope you enjoyed writing your prompts, and this was a super, super quick session. Dina, to your question, I mean, I know it's for Heidi, and Heidi, please jump in to respond. I will say, I have seen Gen AI tools not only create emojis for you, but it also creates specific hashtags that you can use on different social media channels. So you can ask for it to produce some of that. And then you can also ask it to review your newsletter. You can also ask it to review your social media post for, I want so-and-so outcome out of the newsletter. Can you review it for more accessibility? Can you review it for more options? Like, for example, I took my words-based and text-based newsletter a couple months ago and turned it into, added a little 5-minute, here is the audio version of the same podcast. And I wasn't sure what tools to use. So I used the Gen AI tools to figure that out, how to add that accessibility. So that's another thing you can do. Okay, yes, Heidi, thank you. I was getting into the Q&A phase. Question about ethics. If we copy and paste text from ChatGPT to LinkedIn, do we need to worry about plagiarism? I don't know how to say fortunately or unfortunately, but no, we don't at this point. The one thing that LinkedIn has updated in its algorithm, though, is if we create any image from ChatGPT and we put that, LinkedIn can automatically detect that now. And so it creates a little, almost like a little logo below it saying this is generated from a Gen AI tool. That happens automatically. So, you know about that. But other than that, the text itself, you are welcome to place it in the text as is. Melanie, your question is practical level. Is the formatting of the prompt important using bullet points, titles? Formatting of the prompt when you're asking the prompts, right? When you're drafting your prompts, not necessarily. So even if we were to reverse these things, these 4 questions that we have on the right-hand side, if we were to change any of that, that is totally okay too. The benefit of making them detailed is that we have lesser back and forth with the prompts. I've seen people leaving Gen AI usage completely feeling this is not going to give me what I need, but we have to give it enough context. We have to teach enough understanding of what success looks like, what rejection looks like, so that it can give us and we reduce that back and forth. So no, the formatting doesn't matter as much. And you're welcome to play with it. I also try and play with open PDFs, like anything that is like a campaign related thing, which is open and publicly available for the last, say, 4 years. And now I want to use my own campaigns information for something. You are welcome to attach that context as a PDF. You don't have to include it in the prompt text itself. Heidi, I am not sure about the part 2 yet. That is for my friends Melanie and Yasmin, but I appreciate it that you enjoyed this session. Any other questions in this moment? I mean, not to pressure you, but we have 2 more minutes.
Also, maybe Meena, meanwhile we wait for more questions, is there any channels where people can find you if they want to reach out,
Yes,
or yeah, if you don't mind sharing like in the chat,
of course.
like your
Okay,
email.
absolutely.
Thank you.
That is my pleasure and privilege to share that here. Okay, so you have my email address, you have my website. I'm also available on LinkedIn, but that's a long link for me to remember. So if you go on my website, you will find my LinkedIn page. I'm most active, most only active on LinkedIn. And so you're welcome to read the newsletters that I produce every Wednesday. The name of the newsletter is Data Uncollected, and I like to write about AI ethics and talking about which structures, philanthropy, civil society, nonprofit, government, how can we contribute to this very incredibly important work so that the narratives are not built just by the tech companies, but it comes from us individually. Okay, any last questions?
Any more questions for Meena before we wrap up our session today?
Okay, if not, then I do want to say.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, of course.
Thank you.
Dina, your suggestion is true. Trees Organic Coffee is great, by the way. So if you're here again, welcome. All right, thank you, everyone.
Many of us were there for the P2P. So
Lovely.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Meena. And also the recording and the materials from today's session will be shared with everyone via email. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much, Meena, again, for being with us today. It was amazing. Looking forward to learn more, hopefully from you in the future. Well, great. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.